off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Hello, everybody from near and far. This is McDeedus here, and I have with me Four Eyes, also known as Al Jarreau, also known as uh, Alex Jameson, also known as anything else you can come up with that has an AJ. My good pal AJ, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. First time on this, and God knows how long.
No,
Filling
right?
in for. Normally, I would give Ronnie credit, give Ronnie grief, and say he's off doing some nonsense, but he has been recording like 18 podcasts a week for the past couple months. While they launched that secret podcast that they refused to talk about or give any publicity to. I didn't give too much detail.
But we are here on last week's episode, and we are here to discuss what is back from a very long hiatus.
Longer
Atlanta.
hiatus than me on this podcast.
Yeah, they have been going longer than you. So we had a 2 episode premiere, and we'll just start with AJ. What are your general thoughts about? I guess we should just go with both of them. You can guess one at a
Yeah.
time.
I mean, the first one is that it's that weirdo shit that they I think there's been one episode each season where it's just been nobody in the cast present. I think season 2 might not have had it, but the Teddy Perkins episode was like close enough. But it's always something where it's just like, and they throw little sly nods in there. This one obviously was inspired by a few viral moments in a really, really sad, the first episode anyway, a few viral moments in a really, really sad story. I will say I'm a little disappointed in the timeline because it took y'all motherfuckers way too long to catch on to what the episode was doing. Like, I saw the shit as soon as he went in the house and the woman went to the blinds. I was like, oh, I know exactly. And I tweeted it. I said, oh, they about to do the car accident shit.
Well, AJ, we can't all be as perceptive as you,
Well,
my
no,
dear.
I'm saying even it took I saw some people when he hugged the cop like finally figure it out. I'm like, dog, the fedora wasn't a dead fucking giveaway. Like, I understand if you ain't get it when they walked in the house. I understand if you didn't get it when you saw the 2 white lesbians and the 4 black kids. Like, I understood that, but like it took him hugging the cop for you niggas to see what was coming. Like, come on, man. The fedora was a dead fucking giveaway.
The fedora was like, if there was any question, the fedora was it. That
Yeah,
was
like
like,
as soon as
okay,
I
it's
saw that, I was like,
definitely.
oh yeah, it's a wrap. I know exactly what the fuck they doing once I saw that. But I mean, I kind of just wonder why, because these episodes never have shit to do with the overarching story. They're just kind of there as like meta commentary on whatever the fuck is going on in the world. And this happened so long ago that I had completely forgotten about the shit until and then it's like Ern's dreaming it, and I'm just like, and he wakes up next to an
Like
ugly
Saint
white woman.
Elsewhere.
Like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, what
Every now and then, Donald just like reminds us that this is his show and he can do what he wants. I honestly believe that's what it is.
yeah,
He's just like,
basically.
I wanted to do it, so I did it, and you watched it, so you don't have anything to say.
Somebody
All right.
said that it was this is probably like due to the fact that they're all doing bigger shit. So he was probably just like, fuck it, we'll burn an episode where we don't have to show any cast member but me, and then we'll splice it in with the start of the next episode, so I don't have to have people on set for this.
Right. For me, but me barely at that. Like he
Yeah.
was barely an episode. Well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and go into that because it starts with a very eerie conversation with these men on the water. There's a white and a black man on the water. And most people, although we didn't probably catch the storyline as quick as you did when it came to the children, I think I saw at least no less than 50 people say, oh shit, that's got to be Lake Lanier,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be. It's it's almost like a water burial. They brought that up. People are pulled under when they fall in. There have been unexplained or very odd deaths that have happened there. So of course we're like, yeah, it's Atlanta. It's got to be Lake Lanier. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
else could it be?
Yeah, and
Now
even
the
that
end
was just
did.
like weird.
Yeah, it was. But the end did kind of bring it back around.
What, the end of the episode?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, kind of. Like it did. I mean, again, to me, it was just all just like, it's just a reminder, like,
Why?
huh?
Why? Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, that was just, it was like the same thing I felt at the end of the Teddy Perkins episode. It was like, what did we just sit through all this shit for? Like, what was the point in
I,
any of this shit?
I honestly still don't get Teddy Perkins. And you can call me whatever you like. If you have reached some sort of deeper understanding, I would love for you to tell me about it. Tweet us at the KWC blog and let me know your theories. But I honestly do not understand why Teddy Perkins episode existed and what it was trying to show us and what was the reason other than this is the Emmy grab. Sorry.
Yeah, like
And I don't fault him for that. Like, if you want your Emmy, get it. But
like I
what it had to
understood,
do with
like,
the rest of it.
the hook for this episode, the first episode at the very least, is it's very subtle, but it's that conversation that they're having right before they go to drive it in. And they, and they're talking about how they just kept on getting away with it. And they're like, why didn't nobody stop us? And we tried to be good. And it's basically just like meta commentary on, like, hey, white women, this is you. Like, y'all go do all of these things that you think is the right thing. And then when you finally get caught up, it's like, well, why didn't you stop us? And it's like not realizing the privilege that they have in that moment. And they're ultimately just being self-destructive, even though they're quote unquote trying to do the right thing.
You know what stood out the most to me in that episode? Not that it wasn't a lot going on. I want to say, first of all, I'm very happy that it ended differently than the real life story. May those children rest in peace, because that was a very tragic ending to their lives. But the thing that stood out the most to me was when the social worker went to get him initially, there were police officers with her, I'm sorry. When they went to the home and, the parents were like, take him, whatever. His mom was like, take him, and they put him out the house. When the social worker went to do the wellness check, she was alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is the time she needs the police, because maybe she wouldn't have died.
Because also,
as soon as the lady said, I'm going to take you outside, I'm like, she's going to kill her.
Yeah. Also with the mama, like when he comes back, so you finally decide to come back home. Nigga, you let him go. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you told the government to take him. What the fuck do you mean you decided to come back home?
You literally pushed him out of the house. Like, she pushed him out and threw his clothes out and said, take him. While we're doing that, let's just go ahead and kind of get into the whole dynamic of their relationship, because I understand that now, especially with our generation, or with you millennials, gentle parenting is a thing, which I believe is great. I'm having the time of my life with the millennials. Gentle parenting is a thing that we're trying out, and we're trying to see if it works or whatever else, and that's fine. But there are also parents that are very traditional,
very loose on the weed, because that ain't me.
traditional in their parenting. I'm not going to judge you either way unless you're abusing your child. I will judge you if you abuse your child. However, how you decide to rear them is up to you, and I do believe that parents are doing the best they can. With that said, this was hard to watch. And I think it's mostly because when we saw him excited about going to see Black Panther 2, he did do the most. But the way it was framed was way worse than what it actually was. Being that he was just disruptive in class and just going out. Now, he shouldn't have been on the desk, sure. But that feels like something that, worst case, you get like detention, right? Do you really need to call his mama?
Well, I think that's also like commentary on like how Black students are treated by these teachers. I won't say like what exactly happened, but there was an incident where I was asked to speak to a mother about something her son was doing in school, and I said, send me an email. Like, the teachers emailed her, like, forward me the email. She forwards me the email. I'm reading it. Basically, there's a 6-year-old in the classroom that's acting like me. And if you don't know me, then being a smart ass, questioning everything, needing to know why, that can be very irritating coming from a 6-year-old. I read the email. I said, this is an older white lady, isn't it? She said, yes. I said, well, she's going to have it out for him the entire time that he's in this classroom, because she doesn't like that. And it reminded me of that in that moment of it being excessive to a like they brought in the guidance counselor. Like, there were so many levels to it. Like, there's the teacher who is taking this further than it should, because it's not really that deep. Then you have this well-meaning guidance counselor coming in and trying to speak to this mother, and probably not framing why he might need to be in some different classes, or and because I thought she was going to go the other way with it. Because to me, when I think of children that are disruptive, I think not that the stuff's too hard, it's too easy.
They're brilliant. Exactly.
Yeah, and so she went the opposite way. And so again, meta commentary on like schools and shit, where instead of assuming that maybe this kid is, and it could have been some testing why she thought that, but and then the mother just being completely like, no, we're not doing that for him. Like, he's fine, just give his ass attention. And it's like, what? Like, huh? That's your solution to this?
There's failure at every level for him. And as much as I want to be on the mother's side, because I know that it is difficult for a woman to raise children, or people to raise children, especially children that are deemed difficult
Mm-hmm.
in difficult circumstances. There was a level of care that was missed on every level for
Mm-hmm.
this child. Um, the craziest part is that she gave him this speech, and although her speech was very harsh and very, very, I guess, scary about how these white people are going to kill you, that's pretty much what it is. You'd be hard pressed to find a black child that hasn't heard a speech very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what level of child they are. They can be a difficult child, they can be an exceptional child, they can be a child that has special needs, whatever else. If there's a black baby, they've probably heard some level of that speech where you have
Mm-hmm.
to be, this is how you have to be so that you can survive, period. And so that was hard to see because she was so aggressive, but you could see in her, that part of her, I could see that she is really like fighting for her child's life, and she really needs him to understand the gravity of a situation, because it only takes one angry person to do that. Now he goes to this house where the smell is obviously unpleasant because they're making kombucha and pickled something pickled
And
something
microwaving chicken.
Yeah, the chicken was literally white, which is a lot.
I mean,
And they
again,
already
meta
have
commentary.
they already have three black children there.
Mm-hmm.
Three. Okay, so the house is already occupied, but then it becomes a point where it's like it feels like they're getting more children because they are, of course, wanting to be something for themselves. It's not like they're going out to reach out for these kids because they feel like they can offer them something they won't have. This is for their fulfillment, period. They want to feel like good people because they've taken these impoverished children. As a matter of fact, didn't she say that to the police officer?
Mm-hmm.
We adopt impoverished children. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a terrible thing to say. These are my children. We're fostering these children at the worst. These are my children, but we adopt impoverished children. Like, that is their job.
While treating the dog better than they treated the children, which again, more meta commentary on.
Exactly. Speaking of that, the craziest part, and it should have been funny. I'm sorry in
No,
advance,
I
but it
laughed my ass
was.
off.
He had on a sign that said free hugs. A white man walked up to this child and said, "Is hugs your dad's name?" Who thinks to write Donald? I mean, clearly, but I laughed. I'm sorry, because I'm thinking white people are just, they really are odd, right? Okay. The police officer, so we're counting up the failures of this child so far. As the teacher, the guidance counselor meant well. I agree in what you were saying. She meant well, although she assumed he needed remedial classes versus advanced ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the foster parent. Well, the CPS, really, because there was a
Mm-hmm.
failure on their behalf to put him in that house. Um, then we get to the police officer. Now, I think you remember this, but there was a woman who had been missing for years, and she got out and she ran to this man, and he said, "I knew something was wrong because a white woman ran into my hands, and that's a dead giveaway." And that's the first thing I thought about when he ran to the police. I'm like, this is a black child running to the police, to a white officer. This should be a sign that something is wrong. And of course, he says, "Oh, okay, you're just upset because you didn't get your PlayStation. So I'm going to turn you back to these people." The child said nothing about it. I think he honestly said, I'm being forced to work and I'm hungry. He didn't say anything about not being able to play or anything trivial that you would think. So the least you can do is look into it, right?
Well, I mean, and I'm guessing maybe someone around saw it and sent the black social worker. But again, black woman not being protected, they protected the Asian lady or whatever her ethnicity was. They sent the police with her, but they sent a black woman alone into this situation after these where the black woman is trying to get these children away and no one's there with her, and she ends up missing, presumed dead, as a result of it. So again, another failure on society's part of protecting. Well, outside of the grandfather, I do find it like very interesting that you don't really see any like adult black males in this episode outside of the grandfather.
I think he was the only, he might have been the only one.
Like I like
Which
now
is
that I'm saying that, like thinking about, like I don't recall seeing any other adult black man in this episode at all
which
aside
is
from the grandfather.
also
I mean,
also a
yeah,
nod
again,
to the absence of the black man in the household and in society.
right.
So it's Donald is weird, and I think that's the thing that draws us to him. But it's not weird just for the sake of being weird, other than Teddy Perkins. I'm sorry, whatever.
Yeah,
But it seems like
I'm never gonna forgive him for Teddy
we're not
Perkins.
gonna let it go. It's not. But this episode for sure has, if nothing else, is showing you that this is the way and how easily it is to have black children discarded. Right? That's 4 babies that thankfully survive, but that's crazy now that you even mention it. There are no black men in the movie. I mean, in the episode, but the black boy who will grow to be a black man is the one who ended up saving them all.
I will say just to push forward in the narrative a little bit. So at some point, after the black social worker shows up, does a wellness check, she disappears. They put the kids in a van. They're driving. You're building to this point of this viral story, and one of my favorite parts of the episode is when he looks back at them. Is like, these white people finna kill us, right? And like just with his eyes, and the kids is like, yeah, nigga, we know, we welcome it. Like, like again, how black people can
Hello,
just
darkness, my
communicate.
old friend.
Yeah, it's like, and the kids like,
because we all been there.
Like, one of the things I hated about when this show, when Donald was writing the show, because I do think him and the coon suffer from the same disease of trying to do things to show white people shit. And he said verbatim, I'm making the show to show white people that they don't know everything about black people. Well, why are white people even in the equation when we're talking about them? Like, obviously they're gonna have some impact on it because it's on a major cable network, but why is that even in your head in the equation of making this? And so, it's funny, but like that again is pulling a glimpse into, like, we know that we can do that. Like we know, like me, you, Ron, Ryan, we could all sit in a room and probably have a whole conversation with just like if we didn't want somebody, like, we could do that. But I do hate the fact that, that was the intent of the show from the get-go, but it is funny to see because I'm sure that confused the hell out of some white people if they ain't never been around niggas before, to be like, wait, they did all that with their eyes? Yes. Like I've been cussed out by my mother with via nothing but eye gestures in the middle of a place where she couldn't say nothing. And I knew exactly being communicated in that moment. So that was one of my favorite moments of the episode because it was like, okay, yeah, that you can tell it's some not just black people, it's some niggas in that writer's room because you got to be around some of us for real to even think to put that into an episode because that's just not something you experience unless you grew up around us. So I did like that part.
Yeah, I mean, we already losing recipes. We don't need people giving them away. Like this is for us. It's odd to think. It's odd to think though that with a show about black people by black people that it would be for anybody other than black people. It shouldn't be for anyone else.
you only get that because of the unique space that someone like Donald Glover occupies growing up in
Yeah.
Stone Mountain, Georgia, but being at NYU at Tisch and, being around white people, like he grew up around niggas, but he also has this like desperate like white acceptance thing going on with him because he grew up
Mhm.
around them and he's communicated this in his music, never really felt accepted by black people, never really felt accepted by white people. So he knows about niggas, but it's kind of like the inverse of me, like where yeah, I'm nerdy and I know about white people shit, but like I grew up around niggas and I only care about what I only do things for like that. If white people catch it along the way, like cool. But yeah, it is like when he said that, I thought I was gonna hate the show, and the fact that I've ended up loving it is probably more of a testament to the people around him, than it is to him. Because for that to be your solitary thing in mind, be like, yo, I'm gonna make this TV show for black people, but I want to do it to show white people they don't know everything about black people. Why we need to show them that? They know that.
Yeah.
Why do we
And
presume they
to
want to
his
know more than what they do?
we want them to know more so they can just be better, but sometimes you just got to let them be better because they want to be.
Yeah.
And also I want to say to Donald's credit, you see a lot of him in Earn, and I know that the title of character and he's right. It's easy to write who you are, but sometimes it's not. It's not easy to put your insecurities and imperfections into a character the way he does with Earn, and you can see that a lot of that is the direct reflection of who we know as now Donald slash
Yeah,
Child
because
Champion. Um,
Earn is absolutely a terrible person. Like
he is like he's
he's not a good person at all. Like he
he
is not
he's
a
he's
sympathetic figure in
not.
any way, shape, or form. Because he just be
He's
doing shit. I just be
not.
like, bro, like you really are a bad person. Like some of the shit you do is just like, why would you do that?
Season two, and I rewatched it right before, really shows you that he's not a good like he's not a good person. He's not a good person to Van. He's not a good dad. Just being
No, he's
honest,
not. He's not.
he's a so friend. He's not a good manager. Like he's just he's just kind of aimlessly floating through life. But that's not easy to do when you have these other people who are attached to you in a way that is significant, right? You have a daughter, you have the mother of your daughter who you obviously care about, whether you love her or not, it's a toss up. Or whether you're in love with her or not is a toss up. I do believe you
No,
love
no,
her.
no, no,
And
no,
you
no.
have
He in love with her. He just listen. Watching season two, and I won't get too deep into my own but watching season two was kind of like a cathartic experience because I saw a lot of myself in Earn, where it's like there's Earn clearly has some issues that he ain't worked out,
oh yeah.
but things are happening for him in a way that he ain't getting the chance to work on them. So he's so focused on trying to climb out of this hole that he's in, the shit starts happening. It's like, well, I ain't got time to work on this shit. So he's not working on it. Like, he
Hmm.
like you see why Alfred didn't trust him, like when the
Yeah.
series first started. He where everyone's
Right.
looking at him sideways, like in that
Mhm.
first episode, and you like while his parents like you can't come in here. Like you see why everyone was so standoffish with him in the second season because it's like, yo, you're really not a good. Like I was never as bad as he was. Like my mom has never gotten to the point where I couldn't walk in her house. But like you see that he's got some issues and he's like genuinely not a good. And again, you kind of look at that and it's like, okay, is this an exaggerated version of yourself or are you like real deal? Like, is your brother on the side writing like, hey nigga, you be doing shit like this? Because I know his brother pins a
Shitty.
lot of the episodes. Like, is his brother sitting there like, nah, nigga, you would do this because my brother would do that. I would do that to him. So it's what it makes me wonder a little bit, like how much of this is you and how much of this is played up for the series.
Tracy is the one that really shined a serious light on how terrible Earn is. Because as bad as Tracy was, because Tracy was awful, he was like, man, your cousin got a temper. Like, if Tracy, of all people, have noticed this character flaw, because it is. If you have a bad temper, that's a character flaw.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And I mean, when I say bad, I mean hot, meaning quick, meaning random, meaning uncontrollable, and that's Earn. Earn lost his mind when he was at the campus when he couldn't get his laptop. Trying to kick somebody's door in. Ern lost his mind when he decided he wanted to fight Tracy. I'm like,
Got his
don't
ass
do
whooped
this.
too.
Don't do this.
And like here,
What
like the
what do
juxtaposition
you gain from it?
the juxtaposition of Ern to Tracy is funny because Tracy holds like he doesn't hold any illusions about being a good person. Like Tracy is a
No.
man of questionable ethics and morals, but he don't hold himself out to be anything other than who he is. Ern holds himself out to be better than what he is, and that is what kind of makes him a little more snaky. It's like, okay, you now I know why your mama said you can't set foot in. You know how bad you got to be fucking up for your mama, for a black mama to tell her son you can't come in my house.
Like your daddy, but your mama. Your
Your
mama's like,
mama,
no,
your mama
no,
is sitting
no,
no, like ain't she ain't arguing with the
not
man.
here.
No, you can't come in here. For your
You
cousin to
know what it
side eye
is.
you and be like, yeah, nah, bro, you can't. I don't trust you.
He's burned bridges, obviously. And he's, like you said, it's getting to the point where he hasn't been forced to try to mend any fences. It's just like you said, things just keep happening to and in a way for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can kind of say that it's that he had some initiative by going on and wanting to be Paperboy's manager, but no, he saw Alfred is going to do something because Alfred's got the skill and I can pretty much, I don't want to miss this jet. And that's what he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, he had talk he ain't talk like I think Alfred brought up he didn't like speak to him when his mom died or you it's like I don't
Can you,
talk to
can you imagine? Can you imagine if your mother died? And it's very obvious that Alfred is very close to his mother. Like, it's clear. Like, the show just makes that clear. Could you imagine if your mother died and the people that you love the most don't even check, don't say, hey,
mm-hmm,
don't say, are you okay? Something. And they don't have to, sometimes people don't have to say anything. They just need to be
mm-hmm.
around. And the fact that he didn't talk to him is just like, it really just goes to show you how, I mean, relatively shitty
Yeah,
Ern
like and
is.
for you to only pop up because you see your cousin going viral on Facebook, it's like
I
or
was doing it
YouTube.
anyway.
Yeah, it's like
Right. I was doing it anyway.
yeah, he was already here. You just popped up, and again, things happening for him. You happen to get it played on the radio. You
Hmm.
happen to do the thing with the gun with the Chance the Rapper analog, which I still don't understand that because
Clark County.
yeah, I still don't understand because that's supposed to be your man's, but you over here dogging him again,
Industry plant.
like again, like how much of Earn is Donald is because that's supposed to be your
Nobody
man
knows.
50 grand, but
Well, since we're talking about this, let's go ahead and go into to episode 2 because some things happened that were surprising for me. Mostly, I think Al has kind of come into accepting his celebrity, I guess
mm-hmm,
you can say.
mm-hmm.
It's like such a stark difference from where he was before. Because again, it's fresh on my mind. I just did a rewatch. But you remember the episode The Woods, he was very much 100%. I am not a celebrity. I am
Mm-hmm.
not like I'm not a rapper. He was, I am a nigga from Atlanta who raps, but I am still me.
I'm a hustler.
I'm a hustler, I'm a this and I'm a that. And every point that he fought it, it's like the universe was like, just embrace it. And I think that's why he was his connect robbed him. He got robbed twice. His connect robbed him. His girl, what was her name? Sierra, maybe, I can't remember her name. Don't quote me. But the girl that was also blowing up on Instagram was trying to help him. He rejected that. That's how he ended up in the woods. He got robbed again. And then once all of that was over, he went to the store. And then that's just when he was just like, okay, I surrender. And he started and took the picture. Remember? So I think
Mm-hmm.
now it's just like, why am I fighting so hard to not just embrace whatever this is going to be? It doesn't make me, I guess, less real or less, I guess, or more of a, or more fake or as a celebrity. It's just what comes along with this popularity.
Yeah,
Um,
I think part of that is like it's a little bit of like imposter syndrome. Like I talked to my piano
mhm,
teacher about this once, and he was talking about how things started changing for him when he acknowledged that he was like actually a musician. You know, when people would ask him what he
mhm,
do, he'd be like, "Oh, you know, I'm in school at UCLA. I'm in the music department." And one day, a switch lifted. He was like, "Nah, I'm a musician." Like I do, and then shit started. He gets an Anderson pack placement, for example. Like shit like that starts happening for him, and I think that it's kind of it's to a different level. But I think like one, he doesn't want to feel like a sellout, but two, he probably just viewed himself as a nigga who was hustling and making the best of his opportunities, and acknowledging that he's a rapper changes who he is, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to lose the thing that makes him him. I got a question for you. I don't know if you caught this. I'm wondering how much time has passed, because this don't feel like we're picking up on that same tour that they left for at the end of season 2, because he said they had played a show there at a much smaller venue. And so I'm wondering if maybe they're in Europe, but this is a different tour. Like maybe it's 2 years after the fact, and that's why he's so much more comfortable, because he's had time to do this for a while now. He's been on the road. He's been doing shows. It seems like things are much better for them. Earn seems to be a lot better at his job. Like him figuring out the call an organ transplant people to get the laptop there. Like that's knowing the insurance thing. Like they seem like they've been around the block at least once in this instance, because the things that would have been tripping them up, leaving the laptop in old girl's room, and like the things that would have tripped them up and fucked them up, not getting paid by promoters, shit like that. They're figuring that they have that figured out now. He's walking in, hey, nah, it's in the writer. You got to pay for my taxi. Nah, it don't seem like Earn would have been able to do that in season 2, and it don't seem like Al would have been as comfortable, with the things that he was doing throughout this episode, telling her, hey, nigga, I need 300 pieces of chicken at 4 a.m. Like it seems like they've done this before.
All legs.
Yeah, like it seems like they're realizing what power they have, and that clicked for me when he said, "Oh, nah, we were here before, but it was a much smaller venue." Like it seems like this ain't the same tour, and maybe we'll get an acknowledgement of it in future episodes. But it feels like this is much further in the future than they're letting on for us.
Yeah, I agree, because I did catch that, and I wanted to say this is at least a year, at least, because like you said, he said we played much smaller venue, and if I'm not mistaken, he said last year. So I'm thinking they've been on the road at least a year. This is a small thing, but the first thing I thought about when I saw Vanessa was, where's Lottie?
Well, she said she with her parents, and that might be why they're keeping Lottie like off screen, right? Because that would be a dead giveaway of how much time has passed. I mean, unless they just cast a different child.
Makes sense. Speaking of Van, what do you think she's got going on? It felt like confusion, and I'm not saying that to say that Van hasn't been confused, because she has. Like that may be why her and Earn are linked at all, because yes, at one point she had a job and it seems like she was doing better than Earn was, but they're both kind of floating, because Van makes a very irresponsible choice and gets fired from her job, and then it just seems like after that things just keep kind of happening to her. I don't know. And then now, of course, she's just saying she's there because she wanted a job that she didn't get. So she didn't get the job, so she just came to Europe. Now that's not very weird, I guess, because in my mind, I thought that she was also from Germany, because that's where Zazie is from, right? Isn't she from Germany?
I think one of her parents is from Germany.
Yeah, but the character is from Europe, and it of course reiterated that because they kept showing everybody.
I think they mirrored that like her parents are from Germany or something. One of her parents is like from Germany in the show, I think.
Yeah, and they mirrored the episode where she went to the festival with Earn with all of the people in blackface. This isn't new for her. This is almost home for her. So I guess it's not so odd that she's there. It is weird that she's there with them, I think. But I mean, I guess not, because why not? Because these are still her friends on a level. And of course, Earn is who he is to her. But it just does seem odd that she just would pop up and be like, oh, I'm here.
No, it's definitely odd. Like, I think the Earn and Van strike me as two people who have these feelings for each other, but don't know what to do with them. Like, there's no real resolution there for them, because
I say that's more him than her, but I agree.
What that's what I'm saying.
Because she made it clear what she wanted,
right?
But she's not. I don't think she's willing to move on, because she still just very much wants him.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
I think there's like a magnetism to them to where
Mhm.
she made the decision to basically say, I got to get all the way away from you because until I do, I'm not going to have any clarity. But even now that she has, she's still finding her because she's like, well, I have a boyfriend. Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm dating a girl and she like, hey, I'm about to go kick it in Europe with my baby daddy who manages a famous rapper, I'm probably going to be like, huh?
Can I
Like,
come at least? Like,
not to kick it with
where
fam.
are you staying?
Finna go kick it with that.
You know.
Like I'm gonna be looking a little bit funny. So they like it
Mhm.
strikes me as like she loves him. He don't know what the fuck he wants, and there might be some like confusion on her part because she don't know if he's capable of being who she wants him to be. So even if he
Mhm.
showed that he could be, which I think is going to be a subplot of this series, him trying to fix things of this season, I think there's going to be some point where he like is trying to show her like, hey, I can be responsible and mature and express myself. And I think that's just going to drive her like further away because it's going to be like, well, nah, why wasn't you doing this when it was right? So yeah, that's just it's two people who don't know how to resolve what their issue is because they've been together for so long and they've been through the same shit that if one of them gets right, the other one won't be right. Like I think it's just they're
Mhm.
always going to have a timing issue because I don't think they trust one another enough to actually get right at the same time. Because it seems like if Earn got right, her confusion would be like, well, nah, I don't know what the fuck I want to do right now, and then that would just lead to some other shit.
They have to be two complete people before they can be anything for each other.
Right.
And it's like they haven't figured that part out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other question I have for you now, before I get to my second question, what were your thoughts when you saw the crowd that Paperboy was supposed to perform for?
I my
Everybody,
immediate my reaction was exactly Erd's reaction. Like when he opened it up and he was like that's really what
yeah,
I did. I
like
was like, yep, totally get it.
exactly. Because at first, of course, I'm thinking, oh, come on, Al, like you have to perform, Albert. You've been here. Um, they're here to see Paperboy. We got you out of jail. We got the laptop. We've been running around. Earn at least has, like you said, he has done his job today. It was sloppy, but it doesn't matter because it got done.
Mm-hmm.
So the least you can do is do your job. And as soon, like you said, when Paperboy called him over and Earn opened the curtain, and I saw those people, I was like, oh, well, yeah, because I wouldn't perform for that
At
either.
all.
Like there's
At
no
all.
way. There's no way at all. Now I was happy to see, like you said, that at least Earn had his ducks in a row. It was like, we're not gonna do it. Paperboy's sick. This is a thing that happens. You're still gonna be fine because we have the insurance. You have a great day. I'm out. Um, him being sick is weird. Hope he's okay. He might have COVID. Who knows? But I think now my whole question is, and Ronnie actually brought this up. How much time is this season going to spend in Europe? Because that is a very interesting setting for a show called Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, I just thought of this as you were saying it. This show is like really. This show is kind of reminds me of like Seinfeld in a way because
Hmm.
there's so many like loosely connected plot threads that and like nothing ever really matters to the overarching point of the show, which is this man managing his cousin's music career. Like you can
Okay.
count back and think about how many episodes have we actually seen these niggas making or doing the music in. It's always these nutty ass misadventures surrounding the shit. And even this
Hmm.
entire episode is like when you see the blackface, like because at first initially I'm like, I see the jail setting and I'm like, okay, great nod to how fucked up America's. It's a perfect parallel to the time that the time that Ern spent in that holding jail in season 1 versus now where he can you dim the lights for me and now I'm yeah, I'll get after my nap, bro. I got you. And Ern's
Got a menu.
like, dog, we didn't need the whole 20K. Like, it's not the bail's not that expensive. Like a whole referendum on the American jail system.
Hmm.
But like when you really sit back and think, like, how many episodes of these niggas actually done music in? Like I'm thinking,
Mm,
I watched season 1 recently. I haven't seen season 2 since it aired, but I'm thinking like there's like maybe 5 episodes where we've actually seen like the music happen or heard the music. Like the music don't
I don't
happen in.
even we. I was gonna say I don't even. You're you're giving him more credit than that because I don't think we've ever seen the music happen. We've heard it.
Well,
Like we've
right
heard the we've
where
heard the
there's
song, like you said, but no studio.
yeah, nah, they're like never in the like you get like instances
Mm-mm,
where like the where Clark County's introduced. You get these instances, but like even those are like few and far between. Like
mm-hmm,
it's Ern and Darius going to trade up for this fucking dog.
mm-hmm,
Taking the money from that dog in the next season and going and getting gift cards with it. It's all these wild ass things, but none of it ever has to do with what the point of the show is. The hook of the show when it dropped, which was it's about a dude managing his cousin in the music industry. It's about all the shenanigans around that shit. Like it very little of it
mm-hmm,
has to do with music. But I did like the fact that again, you've seen growth with how Ern handles his business. Like he would have got fired like 4 times over in this episode if this was like season
mm-hmm.
1 or 2 when he was doing this shit.
Oh yeah. And you know what else? Like when it comes to speaking of, it feels like Al actually trusts him now because he's letting him be the manager. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I need. He's not afraid to ask him for stuff because he feels like it's gonna get done. And it's almost like if it doesn't get done, you get fired because that's how it works. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what I need. Like who again ask somebody for 300 pieces of chicken at 4 in the morning and specifically says all legs? But it's just an odd request. But
Yeah,
Ern got up to do it. Like that I think that's the part that's the most encouraging because it seems like you see Ern actually taking this job seriously. And we may not like his method or, you should have had this done. I can't believe you left a laptop. But he hasn't had to suffer any consequences for those because he fixes it,
yeah.
which
Like
is
I said,
cool.
the thinking to call an organ donor service,
Yeah, I
like
never would have thought to do that.
was
I wonder
like
if he's had to do that before.
yeah.
He's had to do
And,
that
and
before.
again, he's in the music industry,
He's
so
had to do it before.
either he or
Gambino's had to do that.
yeah, either Gambino or someone around Gambino has had to do that shit before, which again to me is like, and they throw little clever nods like from his personal life into this, like on several occasions, which I like. But yeah, I like the second episode. I'm interested to see where it goes. Like, I was not
Hmm.
expecting when we saw like the little kid in blackface on the bike. I was not expecting the entire episode to end
So disturbing. Like,
because like it kept happening in like small increments, and then for like the
mhm.
whole crowd. And oh yeah, this is another part I want to say. Like, I love the fact that he caught some random white dudes whooping his ass and talk like, "Why are you making me do this?" Ern again, Vito. I mean, the Ern
Mhm.
looks back and
Mhm.
like you can tell that's like, oh, racism working in my favor for what you think all of us look alike. I,
About
I'm,
time.
I'm getting out of here scot free.
The guy was so confused. Bless his heart. I mean, but
Like,
that's
why
what you
are
get for
you?
wearing blackface. I don't feel sorry for you.
And now that you're mentioning it, consequences for wearing blackface. Who would have thought?
Consequences. Those are the consequences that need to happen for everybody that wears blackface. Perfect.
Leave it to Gambino to put in an episode where a bunch of blackface for to not only work in Ern's favor, but somebody to suffer consequences for. Also, can we talk about Darius and saying that was Tupac?
Yes.
Listen,
Because again, the
the
whole
ding.
thing was just it was I can't it's beyond description for you, girl. Like you can try
Darius is
and
the
get
top three
into it,
TV
but
character of all time. Like
he is.
the when I saw the episode with him and the dog, I was like, with him earning the dogs, I was like, yeah, this is great writing. But for them to like just subtly set up that this is Tupac like the entire time, and then for Hail Mary to come on and dude to hit that ding right as it dinged it.
It was perfect. But it
Oh,
was so weird. Like Donald's gonna throw some stuff in it that's gonna make you question what the hell he's on, right? Like, I mean, that's just being honest. And I was thinking, what the hell is he on? Because when the thing dropped down and suffocated, probably Tupac, um, that was just weird. I thought the man was like, just going peacefully.
yeah.
He this was hospice, and this felt like a sacrifice of some sort, like a like almost like a Hereditary type. I mean, not Hereditary. What's the other one? What's the movie with the crazy with
Oh, I don't watch
uh
none of them A24 Criterion joints. What was it, Mother?
y'all know what I'm talking about though. Y'all know the one I'm
Was
talking
it
about.
Mother?
No, not Mother. The one there's an M in it. I
Midsummer?
want to say that one, Midsummer. It's almost like Midsummer, where it was a sacrifice, and everybody was just kind of walking around and thanking him, and Van was so sincere, and she just thought she was sending him on peacefully, telling him it's okay, let go. I didn't realize she was, of course, giving this man permission to be suffocated. That was weird.
Yo,
It's very
that
odd.
I'm shocked I didn't get a noise complaint when that ding happened because I was like, ah, like I yell laughed when that shit happened. I was like, bro, that was perfect.
It was so random, but it fit. It was like it felt random, but it was actually perfect, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but with that, where do you think you say you're not really sure where you think it's gonna go, but do you have high expectations? Did it start where you thought it was? Were did you love it? Did you hate it?
I
Kind of in
mean,
between.
normally I expect like episodes like episode 1 to be somewhere like episode 6 in the season.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
usually like the
like the
premieres,
filler.
yeah, like the premieres we've gotten for this series have been like pretty good. Like the two that we've gotten, like it's almost
Mhm.
always like something good. And the series usually starts off strong, and then you get into some like questionable shit. It's like, all right, was that necessary? Like even the episode, with him and Al as kids, where it's like you think it's going one
Oh
way,
yeah,
and then it's like,
the Fubu episode.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was like, ooh,
yeah,
like
that was tough.
yeah, like you get some of that, but it's usually later in the season. But I'm glad they gave us that
Hmm.
second episode because if that first episode would have been the only one, I'd have been like, hey, bro, I want my money back.
I don't know what we're doing. I haven't seen anybody from Atlanta. We knew you would be here. Earn. Where's everybody else?
Yeah, like like Lake Lanier ain't enough, but
Who is this random white lady?
yeah, like I don't know. I think there's going to be like I think Van and Earn are either going to figure out a way to like coexist with one another,
Hmm.
or they'll end up getting back together. I think that's going to be a pretty decent subplot. I mean, obviously, we can expect some great Darius shenanigans. Um,
Should they be together? Let's just go into that for a little bit. Should they be together, like as complete people, the people who they
no,
are meant to be?
no,
Would they work if
no,
they're both?
no.
So you think they have shared like I don't want to say trauma, shared like dependence? Is that what it is?
I don't
Like
know
a
that
weird
it's.
dependence?
I don't think it's a codependence thing. I think it's like a toxic twin flame type thing where
Familiarity even?
yeah, like where it's just like they get around each other and there's this intense emotion that because it does. Ern doesn't strike me as someone who handles his emotions well, at least externally.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like which is why he blows up and starts kicking doors and shit like that. So he doesn't strike me as someone who carries his emotions very well. But it does seem like Van brings a different side out of him. And
Hmm.
I think she knows there's something more underneath the surface, and she's just waiting to see that. And when they get around each other, it's like the dumb shit of their youth like comes back to them. Because they've been dating since they were like what in their early 20s, late teens, something like that.
Yeah, it's been for a long time because I mean they're not very old now,
Right.
so yeah, yeah. I mean it's
So
been a while.
so like
They were
it's like
kids at least.
yeah, like they go back to like when they first met and were like stupid. And again, there's just this unresolved tension there that because like again, the look on Ern's face when she's like walking into her room, like you can tell he at the very least is like, yeah, I might have fucked up. Like when he sees her, I know that look. I've
Mhm.
given that look. He's like, I might have fucked up, and she kind of gives him like a different. She's kind of more indifferent to it, but I wouldn't be shocked if she starts seeing some of these more responsible qualities that he's showing, and she starts to
Mhm.
be like, well, maybe I kind of fucked up a little bit, maybe we don't. So I feel like that's the, I mean, because it's so random. No one would have predicted a Teddy Perkins episode. No one would have predicted Cat Williams with a damn alligator last season. Nobody would have predicted fucking the invisible car shit. No one would have predicted Mike Vick showing up. Like, there's always so many no one would have predicted the goddamn Barber episode. What was that dude's name?
Which one? Fabo?
When
You said the
Paperboy with the
barber?
barber?
Oh, Bibby.
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 No one would have predicted
Yeah.
Bibby. Like, there's so many unpredictable things in this show, and the overarching story like gets touched on for like maybe 3 episodes.
Mhm.
Like, so, you know, the first season was getting Paperboy, you know, it being legit music and all that. They did that. The second one was getting him to the next level. They did that with the tour in Europe. This one, it seems to be more about like maintaining. Like, we
Mhm.
haven't gotten what the explicit kind of mission is for this episode outside of their own tour in Europe. So it's very hard to gauge like what we can expect. But I mean, obviously, they want to get Zazie Beetz on screen as much as possible. I personally don't mind that.
Reasonable. Yeah.
But it seems to me like she's there for a reason, and they're gonna attempt to at least resolve or get them in like a stable place to where it doesn't have to be a will they won't they tension type thing anymore. At least I hope that's what
Yeah.
they're doing.
And you know, it made me also think, you brought up a good point about them not having the music, because him not having to perform also shows us like we don't even know what song he was gonna perform, because he can't still be performing. I mean, of course he can still perform Paperboy. Everybody performs their lead single, whatever, forever, but there has to be new music at this point, right? They've been in Europe a year. It's
Does
the
he
only
have?
song we've heard. He's
Yeah, I
got to
was
have
gonna
more
say,
than
does
one
he have
song.
any song other than Paperboy?
Gotta have more than one song. At this point, he's gotta have. I would hope he'd have a mixtape at the least.
I
But if
mean,
he's on a European
Designer
tour,
once
hope he has
performed
an
Panda
album.
for 30 minutes straight. So
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Timmy Turner.
he was wishing for a burner. I can't, I don't know. Like, the only clues that I can, because the first episode didn't give us anything. And the second episode is, you know, we know Lakeith is still doing his Darius thing very well. Al seems settled in as Paperboy, and Ern seems to be responsible. Van seems to be the clueless one here. So all I can think of is that, I mean, I feel like Darius bringing that up to her, and also feel like him pointing out like, nah, Ern hooked it all up, like all that. And I feel like that them passing each other at the end, I feel like all of that is like the biggest clue to there's going to be something with them like resolving whatever their issue is. I don't think they're going to end up as a couple, because that wouldn't make sense for the show. But I do think they get to the point where they can be like friends and don't have to feel like so awkward around one another.
Do you think Ern's gonna get burned out? Because he was exhausted at the end of that episode. And again, although he got everything done throughout the day, he didn't seem none of it seemed to bring him joy.
I definitely feel like at some point he's gonna fuck up again, because it wouldn't be Ern if he didn't. I mean, Al's been close to firing him so many times, and it kind of feels like maybe the success will, like, to me, I think this will tell us, like, because I mean, there's a season 4 coming, obviously, so
Thankfully.
we don't know, like, and we know it's the last season, so maybe Ern goes down this self-destructive path, fucks up, and season 4 is about them reconciling. I don't really feel like this is that kind of show to do that. But it could be.
I just hope he doesn't die. Like, I don't want it to end in a very grand, dramatic fashion where Ern just like dies or he's murdered, or like, because you can't put that past Donald. That's all I'm saying. I just hope that doesn't happen.
I mean, he's kind of a sadist with these episodes. Like, if we're gonna keep it real, like, they, again, I will always harken back to Teddy Perkins, because just why? Like,
Cause why?
We didn't need
that.
Name
this episode Teddy Perkins. Why?
Like, we didn't need that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think next episode will probably give us some clues, assuming they don't go to any bullshit. But I mean, I think they spent the bulk of the season in London shooting, so I feel like this entire season is gonna be in Europe. I'm also kind of kind of shocked they didn't do the subtitle thing because last season, the big thing was Robin's season.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the big like they kept getting robbed at
Like the
every single
overall
turn.
arc.
Yeah, and this one
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem to be there. So I mean, this could just be a random hodgepodge episodes, and we get back to the main storyline at season 4. Like this might just be kind of like a villain of the week, and like they just got to figure shit out while they're in Europe every single week. And with different shit happening with minor character development, and they give it when they get back to it. I'm assuming season 4 they're going to be back in Atlanta. So I don't know. It's
Maybe it's dreams and nightmares. Maybe that's the overall arc. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Because you got to remember the first episode, the kid the star of the first episode, was having a dream about that conversation at Lake Lanier. He also had a dream that his dad was the puppy. What was the dog's name? Corn Pop or something? That slapped him or whatever else. And then Ern ultimately dreamed that whole thing. So I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? By the end of it, maybe we'll see what the whole connection is. And I'm hoping so. That's all I have. Do you have any closing remarks?
Nah. I mean, yeah. Welcome back, Atlanta. I honestly don't have much to say about like what is happening here because it's just
This is here.
it's so absurd while being utterly hilarious at the same time. I'm glad it's back. I had to switch over my Sling plan to be able to watch this. I gave up being able to watch basketball on ESPN for this because I'm too cheap to pay extra $15 a month. But
Reasonable.
it
Reasonable. But you know what else is back? We are back. And we will be back next week to recap episode 3. So join us if you will. Please like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, peace.
one.